So we have all noticed, I'm sure, that there is no shortage of bad news in our world. We read and hear about terrorist attacks, genocide, suicides, homicides, hurricanes, earthquakes, social injustice, school shootings, threats of nuclear war, famine, floods, and droughts, all in the same week or even the same day. Our first reaction may be to respond with worry, anxiety, anger, or despair. We may feel overwhelmed, powerless, confused, numb, or detached. While these may be normal feelings to experience, they are not conducive to maintaining a positive outlook. I don't know about you, but I can definitely be a drama queen. And sometimes I cry at the drop of a hat. So, how do we stay connected with our values, yet remain positive in the midst of all of this turmoil? The good news is that we can bring all of these situations into the path, and we can use them as springboard to transform our mind and deepen our wisdom and compassion. So I'm going to talk about a few ideas on how to do that. And later I'm going to ask you to contribute your ideas, so be thinking of something. So the first thing I would suggest is take refuge. We can recite the refuge prayer, and I don't know about you, but I find the refuge prayer so inspiring. It's so beautiful because it keeps us connected to the three jewels, which are a reminder of, which are really a reminder of our path and what we're trying to accomplish. If we focus on our potential to become fully awakened and to work for the benefit of sentient beings, we can derive a lot of strength just from our commitment to transform ourselves into a being who can benefit fully and completely. Doing this will keep us focused on our long-term goal and will bring inspiration, strength, and purpose to our mind. And I just want to show you this book because on page 28 here, you can find the refuge prayer. It's combined refuge and bodhicitta, and it's so beautiful. So I will definitely recommend that you turn to it when you feel that your mind is filled with discomfort and anxiety. Another wonderful prayer that you can find here, also on page 28, is reciting the verses of the four immeasurables. Even just repeating these 4 lines opens our heart and expands our view. When we contemplate the 4 immeasurables deeply, our mind shifts from worry to compassion. We may not be able to directly help everybody who is suffering and in need, but we can certainly cultivate deeply in our hearts the desire to be able to help and benefit. And that prayer is very conducive to doing that. So the next thing that we can do is we can contemplate causes and conditions and impermanence. Doing this will help us understand that the suffering that we and others experience has causes and conditions. This does not mean that beings deserve to suffer or that we should be indifferent to their suffering. On the contrary, this helps us understand that we all have the potential to change our experience by creating causes for happiness. This gives us hope and energy to our practice of ethical conduct. Also, suffering is impermanent. It changes moment to moment. As new causes and conditions manifest, we will experience different results, and so will others. Venerable Chodron has written a wonderful book that helps us understand karma and cause and effects. And so if you need inspiration and understanding, you can turn to this book. And there'll be a lot of new information as well as insights that you can gather by reading this book. The next practice that I want to just mention briefly is one that I find very, very appealing and very beautiful as well. It's called taking and giving. This is a beautiful and powerful practice that opens our heart and deepens our compassion. It involves mentally taking on the suffering of others and in exchange giving them our happiness, virtues, and possession. We do this taking and giving with our imagination. This practice helps us feel connected to those who are suffering and gives us a sense of being actively engaged in securing their well-being, even when we are not able to physically do anything about it. I just want to also show you that in this book, Transforming Adversity into Joy and Courage, chapter 11, there is a beautiful and comprehensive description of this practice. So, by all means, check out this chapter in this book. It's by Geshe Jampa Tekshuk and edited by Venerable Topten Chödrön. So, very good. Also, there's one thing that I find very useful for me, and I do this at night after a busy day and probably after having some anxiety about the latest news or happenings from the White House. I dedicate merit, and so you can dedicate your merit as well. Of all of the activities virtuous activities that you have performed during the day, you can dedicate that to all those who are suffering. Again, Pearl of Wisdom Blue Book, there is a beautiful dedication prayer from Shantideva's Guide to a Bodhisattva Way of Life. Beautiful, inspiring verses that will get you to expand your mind, to consider others, but consider them in a positive way rather than in a negative and anxious way. And I'm going to read the first verse because it will show how these will apply to the sufferings that we're seeing everywhere in the world. It says, "May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits." And then it follows with some even more beautiful and inspiring verses. Lastly, another practice that I find very useful is the practice of generosity. There are many reputable nonprofit organizations that you can support that can contribute to the well-being of those who are suffering. Sure, you can find them on the internet, you can volunteer your time, or you can make monetary contributions. All of these activities will help you feel engaged and will help you feel like you're doing something to actively help those in need. But these are only just a few ideas. There's a lot more tools within the Dharma to help us transform our minds and transform feelings of worry, anxiety, and powerlessness. So I just want to invite those of you to kind of come up, volunteer ideas on what works for you, what things you've tried, and what you can recommend to others. Any thoughts? Any ideas?
I think one of the most empowering, helpful things for me is I need to put a voice to my concerns. I need to put a voice to my hopes and my dreams and what I think might be able to happen. So I totally have great confidence that the voice that goes into talking to our Congress, writing letters to the editor, doing articles, visiting social activism, I really do believe that the physical presence of the body and that the verbal presence of our speech coming from a mind of compassion and concern really does make a huge difference, not only on perhaps shifting the causes and conditions to make things change out there, but it gives us a sense of contribution. It gives me a huge sense of contribution and that I am participating in perhaps changing the course of what's going on by my participation that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's lovely to see how we're not shy to engage our civil rights and duties to advise our Congress representatives to do what's right for not just the country but the world. And I find that also very inspiring, how we're engaged with the political aspect too. Okay, so lastly, I want to recommend everyone to check out toptonchildren.org. There are many prayers and practices and Dharma teachings that will keep your mind focused on the Dharma and help you transform any negative situation into the path. So, thank you.